What is going on, everybody? Fighting Game Select is here, and we are back, and we are going to do something very, very special. And of course, in case things go wrong, I had to bring some insurance with me to the party, which is jmcrofts. JM, what is good?
What's up? You gotta have backup when we're wading into this territory. We gotta have some backup.
You know, we've been doing our thing and having our thoughts and things, but you know, I just want to hear out everybody else's thoughts.
I'm ready. I'm ready to partake in democracy. Let's hear what the people have to say.
For democracy, huh? Got it. This one is from Jonathan 10A. How much have you dodged hidden stuff? Ooh. If you want me to open the can of worms.
Yeah, I mean,
JM,
you're the pro player here. I'm just a YouTuber.
Now you want okay.
What
now
do I have to
you
hide?
acting like,
I got nothing to hide.
So now, so you didn't get top 3 at Evo?
Yeah, like.
So now see, you already lied.
I'm already trying to hide something. You're right.
So I'm gonna be honest. There was a time. I'm not gonna say the tournament. I'm not gonna say the player because I already know people are kind of gonna put two together. But there was a sequence. I walked to a tournament. I think it was 2019. It was 2019, and I literally walked in there and I said, somebody asked me, "How do you feel about this tournament?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to win it." And it was like, "Oh, you're going to be ex-Japanese player?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. There's no way I'm going to lose to this guy." So I sat down and I played, and I was practicing how to defend against him, right? So I was like, I need to learn how to defend against this guy because I already know like he's like a very offensive player. His offense is very, very strong. So I went ahead and I was like, I'm going to go and just do low risk, low reward every single time. So if he jumps, I 6P, things like that. Got off the set, he beat my ass. It was 2-1. I lost. Mm-hmm. And then everybody was like, "Man, like, are you like discouraged or anything?" And I said, "No, I'm not." So when I ran into him in winners finals, it was one of the most freest match that was in top 8. And this just happens to be like a Japanese player that everybody has been losing to for quite some time. And I was like, there's no way we're going to lose to this guy no more. And me and Peppery Splash actually broke the curse. And we freed him up, and we was in grand finals.
So you're saying that you didn't show everything in the first set, basically. You kept some stuff close to the chest.
Yeah, I kept it when the tournament it was tournament time. It's time to win the money.
I don't know. I feel like maybe I would have done better in tournaments if I did this. I was never smart enough. I was just like, I just want to win, whatever it takes. I'm gonna do everything. But I feel like back in the day, some stuff was just kind of hidden by default, right? Back in the day, we didn't just, as soon as we found tech, we'd post it to Twitter 5 frames later. Like, back in the day, you would see stuff for the first time at tournaments, you know?
I'm surprised. I feel like you kind of playing like a mind game here, I'm going to be honest. Talking about, I wasn't that smart enough to do that. You sure about that?
Yeah, no, for real. Like, if you dare Google my old tournament footage, which I don't recommend, you'll think I look really scrubby compared to how the games are played now. But like, I honestly feel like I would just do everything. Like, I mean, there's some stuff you do like mid set, right? Where you're like, I have this one reset that is so cursed. In Skullgirls, I had this reset with Sarabella, where I would basically launch you, and then I would let you land behind me, and I would command throw, and she would automatically turn around and command throw you. And that would always be the last one, right? Like when they're low on HP to kill, that's the last one I would do. But I would never just not do it for the whole match, to save it for later. No, I pulled out all the stops.
Oh, wow, dang, that is some. And that's all truth. Do I need to go get some witnesses?
No, that's true. I remember there were some times where there was this guy at my local in college, and he would always be in Street Fighter 4. He would always beat me with Akuma, and he would do like this demon flip setup, and I'm like, bro, like I do not know how to beat that setup. And then finally he like eliminated me from tournament or whatever, like 2-0'd me, and then he revealed to me. He was like, "Oh yeah, that setup's fake. Like you can jump out or whatever." And I was like, "Bro, I had no idea." So sometimes there's like minor stuff like that, but yeah, I feel like back in the day, like now saving stuff is basically non-existent, don't you think?
Everyone gets rewarded by actually telling.
Exactly.
telling
like
them,
it's more
telling on the character.
It's more lucrative. It's more lucrative to reveal the info now. I feel like.
I definitely hitting stuff against people internationally. I don't think I've ever hit anything in America, but international, I definitely hit stuff.
I've done the classic dodge where like you beat someone in bracket and they're like, bro, like money match me, and you're like, okay, later, and then you just like hide every time you see them. They're like, hell no.
That's actually
he
funny.
He knows all my secrets now. I can't money match him. I'll get freed up. I showed everything.
I like how you just like, yeah, sure, let's play.
I'll be back in 5 minutes, and then you just go home.
Yeah. That's like, bro.
Because, like I said, because I show everything in the set. I pull out everything. I have nothing saved for the money match after.
Why has no fighting game has ever reached the peak that is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
It's a good question.
I mean, if you wanna hear it from me, game companies are so afraid of having broken characters in a game. They'll rather have a broken system mechanic rather than like a broken character, if that makes sense.
Right.
And I think,
like they're afraid of having one top tier that dominates the game, so instead they give every character the dominant mechanic.
Exactly. And that's I think companies are gonna realize that is not fun. And once they realize that it's not fun, we'll get another peak game like Ultimate Marvel.
There's a couple other factors that play here, by the way. I think one is that it was like this kind of crazy overlap between Eastern and Western development as well. Like, it was made by Aiding in Japan, but it also had, Capcom USA, I know, was involved in the creation of the game to some extent. And a lot of the interesting decisions in the game, like Sentinel and being in the game, is really crazy. And I know people used to say at the time that Marvel didn't want Sentinel in the game and they didn't want Magneto and Storm and stuff. They wanted like the characters that they were trying to push, but somehow Capcom fought for it and got like the beloved Marvel 2 characters in. So that's really amazing. And then one other factor is that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a $40 product that came out 9 months after Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So like maybe if we allowed them to give us Ultra Street Fighter 6 9 months after Street Fighter 6 and pay $40 for it, that would probably make Street Fighter 6 a lot better, right? Because they have a very, very small number of people working on Street Fighter 6 right now, because the only way that it makes money is DLC, which is not that much compared to a brand new game. So I feel like if we were willing to put up with buying a second product, the game would probably improve.
Let me go ahead and clarify this item. How dare you put me in this scenario to answer that question? Because you know what's going to happen once I post this on the internet. And now all the old guys are going to... I happen to live in a region where all of the old heads live at. So now they're going to be coming to hunt me.
I think...
And while you live in your safe coast,
I can't blame Idon, though, because like if I beat Justin in a money match in a game, I would say that that's the best game ever, too.
Yo, you so stupid.
I feel like, I beat Justin in this game. That proves that it's the best game, yeah.
Oh, man, that's crazy, dog. And it's crazy because I don't even play it, and I think it's one of the best. That's just how good
it's one of the most fun to watch, too.
Dude, it's just everything about it is perfect. I feel like the players make it more fun to watch, and then the game is also mad fun to watch. I don't care about people who are mad about Zero May Cry. That is the most funnest shit to watch. I don't care if you like a low tier hero. That's the most fun to watch. I respect grapplers in that game.
Yeah.
Like if you're a Hagar and you like, you just kind of like leaping along, and you just trying to like get that one grab, I'm a fan of you. Like it's just a bunch of stuff in that game that it's like always surprising. Like the game has developed to the point where they saying Zero May Cry is not the best team in the game. So like that's just how good the game is, right? Like, but look, we got to go to the next one.
All right.
Can you explain the Luka and Anthony Davis trade in fighting game patch terms? Oh my god.
So we were talking about Ultimate Marvel 3. When we think about Marvel 2 and Marvel 3, both games together, who are the franchise players? Who are the characters that are bringing these games to the forefront of the hearts and minds of the gamers out there? Who do you think?
That's all.
I think it's Magneto.
Magneto. I was thinking that for Storm,
Wolverine. Yeah.
Like all of the X-Men characters.
Okay, but what if next season in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, we get rid of all these characters And we say it's okay because don't worry, we have Nova. Nova is similar function to Magneto, so it's okay, right? That's the comparison I would make.
You go all the way to the finals with this, and you're like, what if we put Nova? What if I play Nova, right? But let's go to the next one. Why can't developers just design characters with actual strengths and weaknesses? Why does there have to be a busted character somewhere in fighting games? In a fighting game, why is that players complain about a game being brain dead, but will also get mad when a fighting game is different?
Okay, I don't think we have to answer the third question. Like, players will complain about everything, right? So, like, we'll complain about everything. So I think we already know the answer to that one. But what I think is interesting about this one is, all right, let me go into shill mode real quick here. People are probably gonna hate on me. They're gonna be like, JM, he's just a YouTuber. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I would say that the line between a busted character and a fair character is a lot closer than people think. Like, I think a lot of times people look at a character like, I don't know, Ken in SF6 or whatever, and they're like, he's just too good at everything. Like, they could nerf, like, everything about this character and he would, still be top tier, which I don't think is true at all. I think only a few somewhat small nerfs would make Ken, like, a mid-tier.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think people, sometimes they're like, how did the developers not see... Like Launch JP, for example. They're like, how did they not see that Launch JP was so broken? But it's like, bro, like a tiny amount of changes. Like, they made JP's down heavy punch anti-air suck. All of a sudden he was a bad character, Like a small number of changes can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's crazy because it's crazy because there are some characters that are so strong where they got all nerfs and they're like still strong.
Yeah, that's true.
But that just shows how powerful that that character was. Like, for example, like Ed, right? Ed got nerfed really, really hard. Everybody said like, "Yo, McDonald's Ed, can I?"
I think we literally said that on one of these videos. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like, I was like, "Yo," given like I played a little bit with him, and he still feels good. And then grand finals in Japan was like 2 Ed wins.
Some players want like a revolving door, right? Like, that's kind of how like League of Legends is, right? It's like a revolving door where like one character is way too good, so they nerf them, and all of a sudden they're terrible, and then the next character kind of moves up and becomes way too good, right? And some people want that because it keeps the game fresher because you see different characters. You're not just losing to Ken for a year and a half straight like we are or whatever. But I think a lot of fighting game developers don't really want that. Like, they kind of have a vision for, like, these are the characters we want to be good because we think it's how the game should be played. Like, that's why grapplers are always bad. Because, like, even though I would be okay with a top-tier grappler, I think the developers wouldn't really like that to be how their game is played. So I think that might be another reason why there's a lot of fatigue with certain broken characters, just because they've been broken for a long time because the developers don't want to just make them terrible. I don't know.
I understand, but it's unfortunate that some characters like are so easy and then they're so strong. I think being a little technical and strong is okay, but being super easy and super strong is that's rough because you gotta deal with that for 3 months, 3+
Yeah,
months.
That's true. I don't know. Do you think fighting games should get more frequent patches? Because I feel like the prevailing idea is like, because fighting games are so difficult, we don't want to put a ton of time into mastering a character and then have them get patched and all of a sudden you have to play them totally different or like switch characters because they're bad now. But I know a lot of people are like, well, Street Fighter 6 feels stagnant because it stays the same for a long time. How do you feel?
Is being changing the game? Are you trying to just keep it fresh, or are you trying to find like a perfect balance for the game? And I feel like there's no structure to it. Like, it's just like, are we releasing for like fresh new stuff, or are we releasing to like make adjustments to tweak things out to kind of make the game fun? And I feel like I don't know what the balance patches are for anymore because fun is like broken stuff. So like if it's broken, why are you going to take it away?
I do really wish that every fighting game developer with their patches would give some kind of like mission statement of like, this is what our goal is with this patch. Here's what we're trying to change. And if it turns out that, this doesn't fix this problem, then we might try again and patch it again.
Yeah, so they'd be like, yo, we noticed that like this character usage is like way higher than what we anticipated. So we're gonna do some changes, and then we see some stuff that is usage here. We're gonna also make some changes here and things like that. It's just like, yo, sometimes you don't even know a balance patch is coming out. It's just like, yo, we released a patch, fixing bugs, and it's like changes for like 4 characters.
Yeah.
You're like, what? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
what?
I think a bit more transparency would be nice for sure.
Yeah, because if a game is like perfect, my question is, if you like patches, but this patch was perfect, would you want that to be changed?
Right, exactly. Yeah, our Arc System Works is Arc System Works. Their patches. If we could know the thought process behind their patches, I'm a little bit scared of what we might see, because some of their patches, it's like, bro, like what were they cooking,
bro? So that goes to the next question, bro.
Okay.
Thoughts on current Arc System?
Man, this is tough, because I feel like if you had asked me this question, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I would have been really, really high on current Arc Sys. Like, okay, Dragon Ball Fighters, I think was overall really incredible. Like, yeah, it had its problems, but overall, I think it did a ton for the FGC and was like a really huge game in terms of bringing in new players. And like Guilty Gear Strive definitely had a lot of problems at launch, but at the same time, like it was very exciting and like, wow, they're really changing stuff up. But now it's hard for me to say, because some of the issues that I've had with Guilty Gear Strive have not gotten fixed all these years later. And we also don't really know what's coming. Although Grand Blue Rising, I think, was a big success for them. So I guess I'm a little bit split. Like, sometimes they do something and I'm like, okay, Arc Sys is leading the genre. They're doing brilliant stuff. But sometimes it's like, bro, like the lobbies still don't work. This game's been out for how long and the lobbies still don't work? Are you even like a AAA game developer, or like what's going on? I don't know. How do you feel?
I think current Arc Sys is in a weird dilemma, because yes, they do good things, but I feel like they kind of lost their focus. You know, like Arc Sys was like, Arc Sys is like, yo, our goal is like to make like the most beautiful game, but the most like and the most hardcore game that is like really, really fun, and like, all these things like that is their goal at the time. Like, especially like the old Guilty Gear games, like we want to put like crazy stuff, we want to put like cool music and things like that. While I do agree that the visuals are still holding it down, and like the music choices are still not bad. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite, but it's not that bad. I feel like in terms of like game direction, they have lost that identity like so long ago. Mm-hmm. Man, I would say that I don't know what their goal is.
Yeah.
I think their goal is going mainstream, but the way they're going is that like it's very confusing, especially as a fan. I've been a fan for so long. And like the fact that they just kind of like abandoned like some of their like biggest fan base in like Asia and like some in North America, like they really are like okay with like the new generation of change, and like all of the old guys that are there, they're like, oh, okay, well, like I mean, you can move on. And I think that's really bad, because once the new generation kind of gets burnt out on the things too, who are you gonna rely on the next time to kind of promote yourself?
Yeah, they're being pulled in two directions, right? Like the longtime fans versus the people who Dragon Ball was their first game, or like Strive. Like Strive, by all metrics, was probably the most successful. Okay, maybe not the most successful Arc Sys game ever, because Dragon Ball exists, but by far the most successful Guilty Gear game, and by far the most successful non-licensed game they've ever made. So like by all metrics, Strive is a huge success. But yeah, I think you're right that like, will those players stick around? Will those players buy a new BlazBlue if they make it? I don't know. Like, will they be able to maintain their brand integrity if they only go for these new players that don't really have any love for the legacy properties?
When somebody say we need a new BlazBlue, I'm like, no. And that's kind of like what they already did for BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. So I think
don't get me started on BB Tag. I have a rough history with BB Tag.
Bro, BB Tag, I don't think it was a bad game, but it soured a lot of people when the game with the word BlazBlue.
But could you just imagine though a BlazBlue game where like recreating the BlazBlue characters in Guilty Gear Strive 3D art style? Like that would be the coolest looking game ever. I want it so bad. But then I think of
I think
about
right?
how the game would play.
They're gonna this is what we're gonna read. They're gonna be like, all right, what we did, our focus making a new Blaze Blue game is that we wanted to make it very easy for people to understand.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here we go. And we want to make it very, very fun for people to have to be excited to watch the game and love the character. So we're going to be revisioning every character and what we feel is going to be a great design for people that are new to the series and old to the series. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So what they're going to put? They're going to put Jin. They're going to bring his hair. They're going to bring his sword. They're going to bring his cape. And then he's going to play completely different. And they're going to be like, yeah, this is our envision. We did it so people can have an easier time understanding the character.
Yeah.
You
All
know?
right. Well, let's ask a different question then. What do we want from current Arxis? So let's just assume, we're not going to get Guilty Gear Strive Reload that plays exactly like Xrd Rev 2, like assuming that they are going to continue Guilty Gear Strive on the trajectory it's going. What do we want from Arxis? Do we want a new game similar to Dragon Ball, like, I don't know, a One Piece fighting game in the Dragon Ball style? Do we want a new Blaze Blue? Do we want a new game like Grand Blue? What do we want Guilty Gear Strive 2 or like Guilty Gear? What are we on now? We had Xrd, now we have Strive, which is 4. Do we want Guilty Gear Cinco de Mayo? Whatever. Like, what do we want from
Cinco de Mayo?
What do we want from Arxis?
So sombrero bad guy?
We got to work the 5 into the name somehow. Yeah, but what do we actually want from Arxis?
I think what I will want is Blaze Blue is is my favorite fighting game. I would like for that to get sacrificed and just make a fighting game where you have modern graphics with a hybrid of modern and old school mechanics.
You're thinking like Xrd feel type thing?
If that's a One Piece game, that's cool. If it's a team fighter, that's amazing. If that's a new Blaze Blue, that would be amazing. But the reason why I said older mechanics, like passive mechanics like instant block and things like that being very important key into the mechanics of the game. Things like that, I will think that's very important.
Yeah, because if we think about a capital A anime game like Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, Melty Blood, Under Night, Arxis hasn't really made one of those in a long time, right? Grand Blue, in some way, it's anime in some ways, but it's not really like an anime game. And Guilty Gear Strive, we've talked enough about how different it is from the other Guilty Gears, and then Dragon Ball is more of a Marvel style game. So they haven't really made a true hardcore anime game in a really long time. So it would be really cool to see them make one of those with their new art style that I think is actually one of the best things in fighting games right now. Their games, I do think, look better than all the other games. So it would be amazing to see that, but I just wonder if they're too far gone, if they think these games need to sell 2 million copies, and we're not going to do that if we make a really difficult game. I don't know.
I don't, and until this day, I don't agree with that.
I agree too. I think you're right that
if somebody make a cool visual game and not say anything about combat, but just talk about the mechanics, kind of like just, hey, this is our game. It looks beautiful. It looks great. For example, everybody was mad hyped for DNF Duel, right? No one knew how DNF Duel was going to look like, how it was going to play like, but everybody was excited, right? If the game was difficult but good, I don't think anybody will complain.
Yeah, I feel like until Tekken 8, Tekken was like that for Tekken 7 and Tekken 6 were hugely successful games that were really, really hard to play. I mean, Tekken 8 is still hard to play in its own way, but they did add a lot of those, let's make the game easy for beginner type mechanics.
I say this to this day, and I know this might sound like a conspiracy, but I truly believe that developers are using pro players as a marketing strategy to get more sales to the game.
For sure. Why do we think
the way
Capcom
you do
Cup
that,
has $1 million prize pool? Yeah.
Yes, but the way you do that is you have those guys lose.
you have them lose.
That
story.
is the you have the underdog story. They want to create stories. That is why the games are designed that way. So I agree, obviously I was like, okay, we're marketing, okay, that's cool. But then they're like, well, yo, why these games are acting mad crazy? And I'm like, wait a minute. What if they like? What if you make an underdog story, and that person that's watching that underdog win be like, "Yo, now I want to buy Street Fighter because I want to have a chance to win $1 million."
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it is tricky. Yeah, I don't know what the future of Arxis is going to be like, or the future of FGC in general. But yeah, we'll have to see.
We're gonna go to a next one. We're gonna do, what does my see in Andy?
I saw this discourse. People on Twitter were like, "Bro, like she's too good for him." But like, listen, Andy,
look,
he's like a crazy like ninja dude. He's badass, right?
Dude, Andy is literally all about hard work. Every single day, Andy is like, I need to hone my skills. You are telling me that somebody like that, that Mai sees is not attractive? You know what I think Mai sees in Andy? I think she sees hard work. I think she sees a great person, a man of integrity. Yeah. Shout out to South Park. Integrity. You know, integrity. A ninja. Mm-hmm. You know, so relatable.
They have that in common. Yeah.
Something
it's like, isn't it true that like 80% of doctors marry other doctors? It's probably like that for ninjas.
Yeah.
Too. Listen, sometimes women like someone who's funny with a good personality, even though Andy might be a bit mid compared to Mai.
That's crazy that you just attack
I'm like sorry. That. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest.
We got another one. Let's go here. How much social media has had an impact on this genre? We've seen both positive and negative effects of it. Strive heavily benefit from this from the same social media wave now that every trailer now glosses rollback as a feature and not the standard. MVCI resurfaced via clout as well.
All right, I have a bit of a hot take response. The fighting game community in general is like irreversibly tied to social media. Going back to the dawn, like you can even back in the day, people were on news groups talking about, you know, Street Fighter. Yo, the new Loke test for Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition is out at the mall or whatever. And then like the Shoryuken forums, like that was how people would organize meetups and stuff. So I feel like social media is a huge part of fighting games, and it's not a new phenomenon, but it's obviously a lot bigger now. Like this Twitter and stuff are a lot bigger than anything we had back in the day. But there's definitely bad parts, right? Like I think the general like negativity around games and like people like crapping on games that they don't play and stuff is very annoying. But yeah, I think there have been good sides too, and like I think generally it's just good for us to be able to communicate more easily with the people behind the games. Like the rollback thing is a good example, right? Like we complained on social media for like 10 years about games not having rollback, and now we have it in every game. So, you know, maybe that's a positive outcome.
Like, I feel like in the beginning of 2020, there was a lot of positive response, and I think a lot of people was like started to kind of be like negative, and then once everybody realized that being negative was like good, people just started being more negative.
Yeah, and I think I talked about this before too, that Twitter especially, like most social media, but Twitter especially, like prioritizes like dunking. Like you'll get a way more successful tweet by like quote tweeting someone and on them than you would if you just like say something positive, you know? Like Twitter and all social media, like negativity is heavily rewarded algorithmically, and just like our brains like drama, we like negativity, so that type of thing tends to go far. So that's definitely a problem.
I think MVCI wouldn't have become like no one would show love to it unless it was like people like Maximilian and the team working on it that he hired. Shout outs to the team.
And like the hashtag free Marvel 2 thing, you know, that was maybe they would have re-released Marvel 2 no matter what, but I feel like it was like a phenomenon, like the trending free Marvel 2 thing, and then sure enough we got Marvel 2 back. So
yeah, let's go for one more. All right, bro.
Uno Mas. Some of these are crazy. If you could go back in time and stop one player from winning a tournament, who would you like? Yeah. Bro, I want
to yo, I'm actually gonna let's do
it.
No, let's do it, bro. Let's do it, dog.
I have one, but it might be bad for me to say this. The year that Infiltration beat GamerBee, and not for the reason that you think. That was the year where there was the controller disconnect. And then they had to replay, and it really felt like GamerBee had lost all his momentum and just kind of got figured out after that. And I just feel like there's another timeline where there was no disconnect and Gamer B wins the whole thing, and then like imagine how the world would be different. Like we would have flying cars by now. We would have Marvel vs. Capcom 4 right now. Everything would be good if Gamer B just won in, what was that, 2015?
That was really sad to watch.
Yeah. And it's, like just a controller disconnect in grand finals is just one of the worst things that can happen. Do you have one? Do you have a different one?
This is gonna be crazy. That would be Snake Eyes and Strives. Yeah. That would be Snake Eyes and Strives.
Dare I ask why?
Because you remember he made that comment saying that Street Fighter players could be good at any other fighting game because it's easier.
That was
right. And he decided to choose the most easiest version of a game easiest version of the game that, you know, a lot of new players I would say are not as. I would say that people who play that game actively at the time are not as good as they are today. But I will say that a lot of people who play Guilty Gear Strive, if I can look at a traditional, can you name a traditional grappler player that plays Guilty Gear Strive in America? Like that you could recognize?
No, not really.
That's the problem, and that's the problem. I feel
so you're
like
saying they don't know the matchup.
Yeah, I say that they don't know the matchup. They don't know how to fight a mindset of a grappler player like that. You know, like when it comes, like when grapplers play, like it's like the Rushmores. You know what I mean? Like you got the Itabashis.
Yeah.
You know, you got the Fabs, right? You know, you got the Danny Phantoms, right? You got Danny, you got Stupendous. You know, like these are like the Rushmores of like the grapplers, right? You got Snake Eyes, of course, right?
Yeah.
Who do you got in Guilty Gear Strive?
Yeah.
That was a free win. Like
But
right
so
off the bat,
are you
right?
saying you think that like if Snake Eyes tried now, it would be like no shot, he wouldn't win a tournament?
Oh, he will win a tournament by
Okay.
far. But what I am saying is that I feel like people are now playing Potemkin now because he's broken.
Right.
So I feel like now people kind of have to learn how to fight a grappler.
That's true.
You know, so I feel like so they got some experience, but like I will always put my money on a low tier grappler that is being piloted by a true grappler player than a top tier grappler who is not a true grappler.
I see.
I will always put my money on the true grappler
Right,
player
because you got to have the mindset.
The mindset. You got to have the mindset,
Yeah.
right? And when I seen who was in top 8 and who he had to play, I told him straight in his face, you are going to win this tournament because nobody knows how to fight grappler
Right.
players. And he was just like, oh, are you sure about that? Playing stupid because he always plays stupid. So he's like, oh, really? Like, there's so many great players like, you know, LK and stuff. I'm like, LK is very good. And I think he's a very strong player. But hasn't been a true grappler player who plays Strive that is like a Rushmore.
Yeah.
You know, like we haven't had that in a very long time. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and then Potemkin is different.
Right.
So yeah, I truly believe that him winning, that quote got him worse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way he truly believes.
It's crazy.
And
Like that
he
used
does.
to be a pretty pervasive attitude, don't you think? People really used to think like, oh, if the Street Fighter players learned Guilty Gear, they would body all the Guilty Gear. People really used to think that just because like Street Fighter was like the biggest pond, like it had the most people, so it's like surely whoever is the best at Street Fighter would also be the best if they picked up another game. But now the other games are so big now that I think surely people don't actually believe that now.
Yeah, and games got a little easier too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the games got a little easier too now. So
Yeah.
But yeah, and information got up too, so I feel like it's easier to get good. It's very hard to be
That's
bad.
true.
That's who I will stop now currently. I think all the other wins timelines are okay.
What I was thinking about was Justin beating Daigo, or Daigo beating Justin in 2009. Like, imagine how different the world would be if Justin won Evo in 2009.
I was thinking that, but I was like, but that means that like, I wouldn't want to take success from Justin, you know, because I would say that he's branding it really well as a loss, and
Yeah.
you know, he's doing really good at like showcasing that I'm okay of like taking the
Yeah,
loss,
I think
know?
that, and
So
Daigo's the GOAT, right? So and I think
so
also like
it,
the mythology of the Japanese scene was pretty important back then. Like we really thought like Japan was just like this untouchable region, and they kind of were to a degree. But also, I feel like it motivated the other regions to try harder. Like, bro, like, will we ever be able to beat Daigo? Because he won in 2009 and 2010, right? So it's like, bro, like Daigo is just like untouchable. And then when the U.S. finally caught up, I feel like it felt like a really big deal. So yeah, maybe that's like a canon event, and Justin needed to lose that year.
Shout out to Justin losing. We wouldn't be here today if you wouldn't got your ass
Yeah.
moved. So, but I will say, just because we are closing this chapter doesn't mean there's not another chapter.
Okay, we might have to ask again.
Who knows? I might have some other people here. I might have JM
All right.
again. And with that being said, thank you so much, man. And where can they find you?
YouTube.com/jmcrofts. That's about it.
Make sure you guys leave a like. I hope you guys enjoy this type of video. If you guys want to see more, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll definitely do more. And we'll bring some more people to kind of answer these crazy questions. All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys in the next fighting game. Select.
Bye,
episode.
everybody.